My name is Lisa. Standing in the middle of the opulent ballroom at the Grand Horizon Hotel, I never expected to lock eyes with him again. The annual charity gala was a sea of elegance, but all I could see was him, Alexander Blackwood. His sharp blue eyes were fixed on me, and for a moment, the world around us faded away. 17 years ago, Alexander and I were deeply in love. We came from different worlds. I was a budding artist from a middle-class family, and he was the heir to a vast business empire. Our love was passionate, but it was shattered when doctors told us I couldn't have children. Without a second thought, he walked out of my life, leaving me broken and alone. Tonight, I'm here with my 4 amazing children. Jake, a 20-year-old college student with Alexander's intense blue eyes. Lily, an 18-year-old aspiring artist with my long hair and his high cheekbones. Max, a 16-year-old athlete with a strong jaw just like his father. And Ava, a 14-year-old with a mischievous smile that could melt anyone's heart. As Alexander made his way towards us, I could see the shock and confusion on his face. He stared at the kids, and I watched as realization dawned on him. Each of them carried a piece of him, a fact he couldn't deny. Are they? He stammered, his voice barely audible. Yes, Alexander. They're ours, I replied calmly, though my heart was pounding. He took a step back, as if the weight of the truth was too much to bear. But you said, the doctors. I cut him off. We used to believe that. I joined a secret fertility research program, and it worked. I had our children alone because you left. Jake stepped forward, his eyes cold. Whether you believe it or not, the truth is here. You left Mom when she needed you the most. Alexander looked at me, his eyes pleading for an explanation. I knew he needed time to process this, but I also knew I couldn't let him off the hook easily. If you want the truth, come to my place in a few days. But right now, we're leaving. With that, I led the kids out of the ballroom. As the elevator doors closed, Ava looked up at me and asked, Mom, will he ever be a part of our lives? I didn't have an answer then, but I knew that the story between Alexander and me was far from over. After that night, Alexander didn't sleep. He spent the next day digging into my past, hiring his loyal assistant, Ethan, to find out everything about me and the kids. Ethan discovered that I had participated in a revolutionary fertility program called Neogenesis, led by Dr. Amelia Reed. And to Alexander's shock, DNA tests confirmed that he was the father of all 4 children. 3 days later, Alexander showed up at my door. He looked haggard, like he hadn't slept since the gala. I let him in, and the kids were immediately on guard. Jake crossed his arms. What do you want? To make up for all the years you were gone. Alexander took a deep breath. I know I don't deserve a second chance, but I can't keep running away. I want to be a part of your lives, if you'll let me. Lily, who had always been more reserved, asked, if you knew Mom could have kids back then, would you have stayed? Alexander was silent for a long time. I want to say yes, but I was scared. I was afraid of a future I wasn't ready for. But now, I'm ready to face it. Over the next few weeks, Alexander started showing up regularly. He sent messages to the kids, suggesting meet-ups at bookstores or cafes. At first, they were hesitant, but slowly they began to open up. Jake was the first to have a real conversation with Alexander. One day after class, he met Alexander at a coffee shop. Alexander told him a funny story about his college days, and Jake couldn't help but laugh. Lily was drawn in when Alexander mentioned a local art exhibition. They spent hours talking about art, and she even brought her sketchbook to their second meeting. Max challenged Alexander with tough questions, but Alexander always answered honestly, promising not to disappear again. Ava was the last to warm up, but when she got stuck on a rainy day, she texted Alexander. He showed up in minutes with a raincoat and an umbrella. After that, she left a note in his car, thanking him. One evening, as we all sat around the kitchen table, Ava asked Alexander, "Do you ever regret leaving?" Alexander looked at each of us, his eyes filled with remorse. "Every single day. I regret not being there for your first steps, your first words. I was a coward, but I want to make it up to you." That night, after the kids went to bed, I sat with Alexander on the back porch. We sipped tea and watched the city lights. I finally asked the question that had been on my mind for years. Was it really just about the children when you left? He took a deep breath.
No.
I was afraid of not being good enough for you. You were so strong, and I felt like I couldn't measure up. I panicked and ran. His answer was like a missing piece in a puzzle. I realized that his fear had driven him away, but I also knew that we couldn't change the past. We can't go back, but if you're willing to start over, maybe we can build something new. He nodded, and for the first time in 17 years, I felt a glimmer of hope. Our journey ahead was uncertain, but I knew that with honesty and a willingness to forgive, we could heal the wounds of the past.